Well, hello and good evening to all of you. Welcome to Conversations with Dr. Els, the July 12th edition. It is great to have every one of you on locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. I see my friend and brother Curtis Thomas is already in the house. Good evening, Curtis. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. And I would encourage you to share this conversation. All right. We are happy that you are on. Good day to you, Maria. It is great to have you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. I want you to share this conversation. I'm looking forward to having a great time with you guys on this conversation. I'm looking forward to enjoying this conversation with you. And so I want you to share this conversation with this evening. All right, share this conversation, and we're going to have an awesome time together. Right? We are going to talk about financial abuse. All right, we're going to talk about financial abuse, and I want you to help me to share this because most people are on my timeline, and I want them, they are accustomed, even though they are following my page, they are accustomed to Conversations with Dr. Els on my timeline, which is Ellsworth Neil. But we have shifted Conversations with Dr. Els to this my official Facebook page, Dr. L. So much people aren't necessarily on. So I want you to just share this conversation. Join with me and share this conversation this evening, all right? So we are talking about financial abuse. Hi Maria, you promised to share this conversation with our friend. I hope you are doing that right now. Okay? So hear this. Imagine this: a wife walks into a grocery store, right? She picks up a few items, and before she reaches the cashier, follow my story, before she reaches the cashier, she has to call her husband. And she asks her husband, "Can I buy these?" And she start explaining what is it she has. So because and he asks her, what are you buying? And she explained what she's buying. And after she explains, he said no. So she quietly puts back the groceries because he said no. Now, let me ask you this question: is that financial responsibility, or is it financial abuse? So again, the wife went to the supermarket, buy some groceries. By the time she get to the cashier, she had to call her husband and ask him if she should buy all of these things that she picked up. And he said to her, no. And because he said to her, no, she then in turn has to take everything back and leave the supermarket without buying anything. My question to you is this financial abuse, or is it financial responsibility? Again, good evening to you, and I'm Dr. Els. Welcome to our conversation. That I would like you to answer in this conversation. Remember, we are not just having this is not a lecture. This is a conversation. So I want you to talk with me. Let's discuss these pertinent issues together. All right. So we are talking about one of the least discussed, but what I would consider one of the most damaging forms of abuse in relationship. We're talking about financial abuse. You see, um, as you think about this, again, I encourage you to share, because we have persons who are not accustomed to conversations with Dr. Els on this official page. So we are building this conversation, we are building this page. So share with others so that they know conversations with Dr. Els is on. All right. And okay, so we have Curtis, we have Maria, and others in the house. And if you do know someone who need to hear this, I really want to encourage you to share. All right. So let me ask you this: when you hear the word abuse, what comes to mind? When you hear the word abuse, what comes to mind? Is it just physical abuse? Because we have persons who, when they hear abuse, they think of physical abuse, they think of emotional abuse, they think of verbal abuse. All right. And oftentimes they might even think of sexual abuse, right? But they do not necessarily think of financial abuse. So my question to you is, what do you think of when you hear about abuse? What do you think of? I want to see your I want to see in the chat. I want to hear what you're saying. Let's talk about this. All right. Let's talk about what do we think about when we hear abuse. All right. Uh because few people think that money that people can use money as a abuse, right? Let me just pause and say hi to Dale, Jan, Lane, Neil. Uh, Great having you locked on to conversations with Dr. Els. Right, it's great, great, great having you, my darling. Right, so few people think of money, and I want to change that tonight, right? Because abuse is more than just sexual or verbal or so. When we think of abuse, we also need to think of financial abuse, because that is something that happens in a relationship. All right. Now, let me ask you this other question: can money become a weapon? Can money become a weapon? All right. Someone says in the chat, someone using, okay, is that's to the question: when you think of abuse, what you think about? Someone using their power to control you. Okay, so yes, that's abuse. Someone using their power to control you. So the question is, can money can money be used as a weapon? Can money be used as a weapon? I'm pausing to see your comments in the chat. I'm pausing because this is a conversation. I want you to engage with me as usual. Okay, we want to talk. I know you have um quite a bit of insight, and I want to hear you. So, do you think do you think that money can be used as a weapon? All right. All right. I see someone is saying yes, it can. And so financial abuse, financial abuse happens financial abuse happens whenever money is used, as you said, right? Someone else said yes, it can. Let me pause and say hi to Amanda Wiseman. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. All right. Financial abuse happens whenever money is used to control, whenever money is used to intimidate a person, whenever money is used to manipulate someone, all these are financial abuse. All right, let me just read this comment as usual. I have great having you engaging in this conversation this evening. From my working experience, I learned about different kinds of abuse, never financial. Hearing it now makes sense. All right, so great. And this is why it's so important. As I said before, when people talk about abuse, they talk about all different kind of abuse: sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, and verbal abuse, but they do not see finances, using finances to control, as financial abuse. So hey, I want you to get this. We want to talk about this. And so we are saying that financial abuse happen whenever money is used to control, to intimidate, to manipulate, or to keep another person dependent. So when you are using money, when a man or a woman is using money to keep the other person dependent on them, that is financial abuse. All right, I want to pause and say hi to Maxine Douglin. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. All right. Uh, especially if you have to depend on someone. So this is what person say. Yes, using money is abuse, especially if you have to depend on someone. So when people do that, that is financial abuse. Notice, I didn't say husband, I didn't say wife, all right? Because either spouse can become financially abusive. Some people think when we talk about financial abuse in relationship that it is the man, or others think it is just the woman. No, when we talk about financial abuse, it can happen with either party. Women can abuse men, men can abuse women. Because of course we have in cases where men are working for more than the woman, or vice versa. So financial abuse happen with any of the party. Okay, so and I want to just pause and say tonight is really not about blaming men, it's not about blaming women. It's about just identifying the unhealthy behavior. All right. So I want you to get this. We are not blaming a man or a woman. What we want to do tonight is to identify the unhealthy behavior in financial abuse. So, like you said, if a man is giving money to control the woman, all right, or if he keeps the money, for example, there are persons in relationship where the woman, let me use a case, the woman is working for the money, all right, and she has to bring home all the money, and the man decides what is being done with the money. All right. Or you have, on the other hand, where I have actually seen this, where you have the man is working, and I've seen it in construction. The man is working, and Friday evening is pay evening, and the woman is there at the time that he is getting paid, so that when he finishes getting paid, she takes the money and she controls the money. Now, you may say, well, Dr. Els, what if the man is not a good steward of the money? Or what if the woman is not a good steward of the money? Now, we could talk about that, and that is something that we can discuss. But remember, we said that financial abuse is when you are using the money to control the person. So you keep the money from them, you give them how much you think that they need to get, or you decide what is being done with the money. All right, that is financial abuse. Let me say good evening to my friend Eugenia Karamabach. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. So we have the US in the house, New York, we have Barbados in the house, we have St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the house. All right, and guys, I want to encourage you to share this conversation. There are persons who need to hear this conversation, so share it, and also to comment on as we converse together. Right? Most people would still look for Conversations with Dr. Els on my timeline, but we have shifted to this platform, my official page. So we're still trying to get people accustomed to seeing Conversations with Dr. Els on this official page. So I am encouraging you to just share this broadcast, share this conversation. All right. So we are talking about controlling the wallet, financial abuse. And I just want to pause and say hi to Nexie Dickens Brockington. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Rose Branch, great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. We are talking about financial abuse. So let me ask you this also, right? I want you to engage with me. Is this financial abuse or is it financial wisdom? Let me give you this scenario. A husband says to the wife, we are not buying another car because we're trying to become debt free. All right? We are trying to become debt free, so we are not buying another car. Is that abuse or is it wisdom? Could you just share that in the chat with me? What do you think? If the husband say, or vice versa, if the wife says to the husband, we're not buying another car, we want to become debt free, so we're not spending any more money, right? Is that financial abuse or is it with financial wisdom? So let me see that in the chat, right? And while you're posting your answer in the chat, let me also ask this. If a wife secretly opens 3 credit cards, all right, somebody says financial wisdom, all right? So I'll wait on the others. If a wife secretly opens 3 credit cards, is that abuse? Is that dishonesty? Or is it both? So I have 2 questions for you to answer. All right. Remember, we are talking. We are sensitizing each other. We are building each other up. This is a conversation that we are having. So the wife opened 3 credit cards. Is that abuse? Is it dishonesty? Or is it both? All right. Right. Someone says it is wisdom. I guess most people and to the idea of the car just trying to get debt free says that it is financial wisdom. Okay. Now, what about the spouse who opened 3 credit cards secretly? Is that dishonesty or is it abuse? Let me add another one. What about the spouse who hides his or her bonus? So it is Christmas time and they get the bonus on the job, and he or she hides the bonus. What do you think that is? Is it dishonesty? Is it prudency, or is it abuse? What about the okay, someone says both, and that when we're talking about the idea of uh becoming debt free or opening the credit cards, they said it is both dishonesty and abuse. All right, guys, I enjoy your converse, and I enjoy your comments, so let's keep it going so that others would see. All right, so one spouse hides a bonus. Or let me ask someone, let me say it, what if someone isn't allowed to know how much money exists? Somebody says it's betrayal, right? So you see where I'm going with this, right? Because we're talking about financial abuse, and these are some real life situations. These are some real things that happens where you have people hiding money, you have people opening secret bank accounts, and there's no transparency, and the goal or the motive is so that they can have it for the other person not to know. I was listening to it's one of those videos I was looking at, where the husband asked the wife to for some money. He wanted to borrow some money from her to pay a bill because she's working for more than he is, and he would have found himself in a financial bind at the time. So he wanted some money to borrow from her. Now he's taking care of the entire family, everything. She's working for more than him, right? And she keeps all the money. So the money she has, she does whatever she wants with it, right? The husband never make any fuss about that. But now he's in a bind, and he asks her to borrow, not even to give, to borrow some money. And she said to him, "No, I am not lending any money, because you have to take care of the family. What you work for is for the family, and if it is not enough, then you need to go and find another job or do something else that can bring in more money. What I work for is my money." Is that financial abuse? Or is she right that whatever she works for is hers, and he has no right to ask her for money? These are some of the things that you do have in relationship. And so financial abuse is a part of relationships, and causes relation a part of what causes relationship breakdown. You see, when God created marriage, did he create ownership, or did he create partnership? Something I want you to think about. When God created marriage, did he create ownership, or did he create partnership? Now, in Genesis chapter, the marriage chapter, we talk about Genesis chapter 1:28. The Bible says it is not good for a man to be alone. All right, so he made him a helpmeet, and they become one. That's why a man should leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife and stuff like that, right? And so the Bible says, and the two shall be one flesh, right? So someone says in the chat, it is partnership. Now, one flesh includes dreams. It includes bodies. So it includes dreams, because you're dreaming together. You're planning your future together. It includes bodies because, as Paul says in Corinthians, your body belong to each other. So yes, partnership. It includes purpose, right? The two shall be one flesh. It includes purpose. So we are going forward with one purpose, one goal. It also includes finances, right? So money, you should be able to have money discussion, because you're building a partnership, right? So I want and just to say that, I want you to understand, because I talk about some of these in my book, Drip Free Marriage. And I want to just remind you, if you don't have a copy yet, I want you to go and get a copy. And I want you to know also that we have the Drip Free Devotional and the Drip Free Journal. So it's really an entire package. So if you have the book, trust me, you need to get the journal, you need to get the devotional, and you could see me, you could write in the comment that you need both, and to add to the book itself, right? So yeah, I just wanna drop that in there. But understand this: when God created marriage, He created a partnership, right? Let me pause and say hi to Patricia Goodridge. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. And yes, it is on Amazon. You can check out my page on Amazon, Dr. Ellsworth Neil. You can find all great resources there. You have the book, you have the journal, you have the devotional. You can go and check it out there. And if you're close to me, I have copies, so I can get you copies. So whichever is easiest or best for you, you can get that. Okay, so someone says that is selfishness, but sometimes you find your spouse spending on things that do not benefit the family. And that is something we're going to talk about, right? Because we're talking finances. That is something we're going to talk about, right? Great. So you said you need both. You can either get them on Amazon, as I said, or you can get them from me, right? But I'm saying that one flesh includes dreams, it includes bodies, it includes purpose, it includes finances. And so money should unite and not divide, right? And I'm telling you, money is a big issue in relationship, okay? Money is a big issue. But because when God created marriage, when God created relationships, He said the two shall be one, and that includes finances, and therefore it should unite both parties and not divide them, right? And so, you know, maybe tonight somebody watching might realize this has been happening to me. Or if you're watching this conversation later, you may know someone who I know that person. That is happening to that person. I want you to share this conversation, because we're not just talking this. We want to help you, right? We don't want persons to become defensive, but to become aware, because awareness would create the opportunity to really fix this situation. And so what is needed is transparency. What is needed is joint goals. You see, when God created the institution of marriage, God created marriage not just for pleasure. You know, it's not just for procreation, but it is a business setting. It is for you to work together. Remember, God said to the man, I want you to work or till the ground. I want you to take care of the garden. And He said, it's not good for the man to be alone. So He created the woman to help him, right? To be that help me. And God gave both of them the command to be fruitful, to multiply, to replenish the earth. So it's a partnership, and that includes finances, that includes how you spend the money, and that includes who pays what bills, and both parties would know, X is responsible for the light bill and Y is responsible for the water bill, and this is the amount of the electricity bill, or this is the amount of the gas bill, and so you know that the person is spending that and taking care of those bills, so that at the end of the month you don't have an issue where the Con Edison if you are in New York, or Light and Power if you're in Barbados, or Vinlec in St. Vincent, or whatever your electricity company is, right? TN Tech if you're in Trinidad and Tobago, whatever your company is, cut the electricity, and the other party is thinking, but you were supposed to take care of that. All right. So that's why there needs to be joint goals. There need to be budgeting and talk about finances. The other day, my wife and I, we sat together and we look at what is needed for us to really live an adequate, life per month. And we started thinking and seeking to strategize, how can we make that amount of money so that we can have a reasonable monthly living. All right, take care of the expenses, buy food, and live a reasonably good life. And so we talked about it, and we started thinking through and working through ways in which we can do that. But it is very important that we be transparent. It is very important that we pray. All right, I can't not include this, because I'm a Christian and I believe in prayer. It's important that we respect each other. Okay, and here's a question. Could your spouse, let me ask you, if you could answer this, you don't necessarily need to answer it in the chat, but answer it for yourself. Could your spouse explain your financial goal? Does your spouse know what your financial goal is? Do you guys have a financial goal so that both parties know this is the goal, this is what we want to achieve? I'm pausing there for you to think. Or let me ask you this question. Is there peace or fear when money comes up? When you talk about money, is there peace or is there fear? Because these are important things to think about. I want to leave this with you, right? Money reveals the condition of a relationship, but it should never determine the value of a person. I want to say that again. Money reveals the condition of a relationship, but it should never determine the value of a person. A person should not be valued or devalued based on money. Your paycheck doesn't determine your worth. Your salary doesn't determine your dignity. Hear me. Your paycheck doesn't determine your worth. Your salary doesn't determine your dignity. Your income doesn't determine your voice. So it's not because you're working for less or that you don't have a say in how we spend the money or what is being done with it. It is not because you're working for more, meaning that you have more say in how the money is spent. If you are in a relationship, both parties has equal voice. There need to be discussion, all right, and come to a conclusion, right? Because healthy marriages are partnership. They're not dictatorship. They are partnership, and therefore it is important as partners that you work together. Do not control the other person by holding the money or by giving them money so that they become dependent on you. Every time they want to buy a pair of shoes, that you say, I have to ask my wife if I could buy a pair of shoes, or I have to ask if I could buy this, or I could No, it should not be so. If you have a discussion about money, then you know what boundaries there are. And I will come back and I will talk some more about boundaries and how we work through financial issues in marriage, right? And so I want you to share this. If this is helpful, I want you to share this conversation. I want you, if you have not already done so, I want you to follow my official Dr. L's page. Every Sunday at 6:30, we're here, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. We're here. We're gonna be having real conversations about real life issues. We're gonna have practical solutions. All right. So I want you to share this on your timeline, share this with your friends, share this on your page. And we want to really dig into the issues here about faith, about healing, about marriage, about relationships. Okay. And so financial abuse is real in relationship. It is real. And by the way, let me say to you, if this is helpful, I want you to join me next week. All right. I want you to join me next week, and we're going to talk some more about financial abuse. We're going to talk about finances in marriage, because it is something that people really oftentimes miss. It is something that people don't talk about. They don't see it as abuse, as was said earlier, but it's very important. As a matter of fact, many relationships are destroyed because of money issues. So what we've said tonight basically is that financial abuse happens when a person uses money to control or manipulate the other person. We're gonna dig into some practical issues or examples later. All right, so I want you to keep, this is just the start of this conversation. I want you to keep locked on next week. And by the way, if this conversation has you thinking about the health of your relationship, because this is only one issue. If it has you thinking about the health of your relationship, I want to say to you, I've created a free drip-free marriage leak assessment. All right. This drip-free marriage leak assessment, it is free. It is just a few questions that you can answer to see where there is a leak in your relationship, or if there is a leak in your relationship. All right, I've created that assessment, and you will find it right on my page here on Dr. L's. So if you look in the featured section, you will see how to get to that drip-free marriage leak assessment. I would encourage you to do that free assessment. It's designed to help you identify the small issues before they become major problems, like financial abuse. If you can identify the small issues before you get to financial abuse and you start destroying your relationships, this assessment can help you. All right. And so you don't have to feel intimidated or such. You can do it by yourself, or you can do it with your spouse, right? You can do it together. But I want to encourage you to check out my website. Check out dripfreemarriage.com, or check out drls.org, any of those sites, and there are a ton of materials that you can get that can help you, whether you are in a relationship, you are single, you are thinking of being in a relationship, you have someone you're talking to, you're engaged, or you have someone you're interested in, or you want you're stressed you want, some mental health wellness tips, mental health tips. You are anxious, it's anxiety, or you're depressed, or you're finding difficulties in life. I've created resources that will help you in any of these areas. Okay, but for this evening, this has been Conversations with Dr. Els. And remember this: whatever you do this week, add value to someone's life. Okay, whatever you do this week, add value to someone's life. And I will see you next week, God's willing, for another conversation with Dr. Els. And I say to you, God bless you, I love you, and have a wonderful week. Until next week at the same time, this has been Conversations with Dr. Els, and Dr. Els is out.